My wife sees me in the morning and she recognizes it's me. Is that one factor for two-factor identification? I don't think so. Hello, my name is Mike.
Hello, my name is Eric.
And we're coming to you today with a new episode from Cyber Sitrep.
Woo!
That's right. We're going to be discussing compliance versus security.
And why they are not equal.
Yes, compliance does not equal security. Not at all.
Yeah.
I have many people who worry about compliance, and I love to joke with them that, if my wife sees me in the morning and she recognizes it's me, is that one factor for two-factor identification? I don't think so. Can I check the compliance box? Maybe.
That's funny. No, that's a great analogy, right? And so, it's kind of near and dear to our hearts because we support a lot of customers that are needing to be compliant for different reasons, different frameworks. And, there's a lot of companies out there that have the, how to say this properly, they have the right idea, but when it comes to commitment and what it takes to actually implement those controls instead of just checking the box, some people lose their way and their will, right? And so we're here to tell you, don't be those people.
That's right. And know that you have to check the box. We know you have to check the box.
Right.
It's required.
That's a given.
But you can do it one of two ways: the easy way or the secure way. And we would recommend the secure way every time.
Right, because the easy way, as it turns out, is one of those tautologies, right? It seems like it's easy up front, but you are going to pay the price later down the road, right? Whether that's, through, we'll talk about that in just a minute, right? Where you lose income, you lose revenue, or you could lose reputation, or you could lose the ability to do business with certain customers because you checked the box and didn't really do the control, implement it behind the scenes. So, once again, don't be those people. We're here to tell you, if you're going to take this walk, just commit completely, go to implementation, take it seriously, and be honest, right? If there's, that's another big thing for us, right, is, we've seen in our experience over the decades we've been doing this, that honesty is the best policy. If you don't have everything done, that is okay. That's not usually the end of the world. It's when you say you've done something and you haven't, and it comes out after the fact and embarrasses somebody or causes an incident, loss, then you're toast, right?
Absolutely. And we also understand that in the world today, there's so many compliance controls, factors, PCI for the general small business, to CMMC for government contractors, across the board, HIPAA, of course. Oh my God, HIPAA, right? Everybody that feels they're doing HIPAA and maybe you're not. That's critical, right? We have to be able to know your controls, know what regulatory guidance you need to follow, but then how do you implement it in a secure, safe manner so that you can actually feel comfortable? Right.
And, we do have all these frameworks, Mike, but the other thing we've seen, especially in this area, in the Colorado area, is that insurance companies are starting to, if you want cyber insurance of any type, they're making you, do checklist, and they're asking for confirmation. So even though that may not be a formal certification per se, it really is, because you're attesting to that agency that, yea, verily, we're doing these 20 or 30 or 40 things, which, once again, there's only so many security controls out there, right? So they're the same controls that appear in PCI, that appear in RMF, appear in 171, CMMC, et cetera, they're all there. They're all the same, right? So, we've actually helped clients that get a questionnaire from their insurance company that are applying for cyber insurance, and some of these are pretty onerous, right?
They're terrible. And we also... We know how insurance companies are. We love you, insurance companies. But they are not out there to give away money. That's not their business model.
Right.
So they're giving you these questionnaires because they want you to know you are doing these things.
Right.
To your point, if you're not, that's their out.
Exactly.
That's how we don't pay you.
Exactly. Unfortunately for us, none of our clients thus far have ran afoul of this, but we have seen instances where companies have had breaches and compromises, and as part of their cybersecurity insurance, they bring in a third-party forensic firm to assess damage, recover, etc. And the forensics company determines that the company wasn't doing everything they said they were doing. So, to your point, the insurance company doesn't want to give money away.
That's not their business model.
It's not. So they have someone from the insurance company working with that forensics company looking for those signs and indicators that you just checked the box and didn't actually implement the control. Because if you haven't implemented those controls, now they can deny your claim. And we've seen online that has happened. And once again, the startling statistic is, and this is old, but it's been well vetted, I believe, is that 60% of small businesses go out of business within 6 months after a cyber breach, right?
That's right.
Which is just boggles the mind, right?
Well, and I talk to a lot of small businesses, as we both do, and what I find is they don't understand the simple costs for any kind of breach. And so what I like to give them as a quick tool is almost all of us have gotten in the mail that letter that says, I'm sorry, your information was lost, and
Yes.
here is 2 years of free identity protection. That's paid for by the company who lost your data. So if you figure it's $20 per user whose
Right.
record you've lost, 12 months, that's $240. You multiply that out, it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars
Right.
for, say, 500 clients.
So once again, without insurance, you're probably going to be in a really bad spot, right?
You need someone to help you cover those
So
expenses.
you've got to have that. So you're going to answer that questionnaire, right? So that's on the insurance side of things. But now let's talk about on the side where we have formal compliance, right? Like the one that's near and dear to both of our hearts
Yes.
is CMMC, right?
Right.
And we have this pesky thing called the False Claims Act. So Mike, tell us about that.
So I have a friend who was involved in the...
A friend.
A friend. Very good friend. And you know who you are. And he was involved in the one of the false claims acts against the university.
Yes.
And so
Google that, by the way. We're not going to name drop, but you can
it's
easily
there.
find it.
He basically was asked to falsely report controls that were met, and he wouldn't do so. And so they just signed the forms without his signature, and he effectively left the company and became a whistleblower.
Right.
So the university, and now they're being sued by the government for false claims.
Right. And so what does that mean when they're sued? I mean, is there monetary damages?
It's a monetary fine. It's in a up to 10 multiplier to whatever the contract value was. So, if it's $100 contract value, they can go 10 times in your penalty for doing the false claims.
Wow. And in addition, they can bar you from doing business.
And then you
right?
won't get any more business
for
from the
a
government.
certain amount of time,
Yep.
whether that's a year, 2 years, could be up to permanently, depending on the severity, right?
Right.
And once again, this is all civil litigation, so nobody's going to go to jail for this. But effectively, you could lose your business, right, for checking that box and not really performing the control in your environment. So, that's why we're saying when you're doing this, commit, do it properly the first time, go through this walk. Don't take credit for things you have not done. Leave those open, resolve those as you go, and you'll have a much better time with this, right?
Yeah, and I also say don't be afraid to ask for help. That's what companies like we
exactly
do,
us and
is
tons of others,
right? There's businesses out there. I think small businesses get confused or nervous because they're given this huge checklist to fill out,
Right.
and they bring it to their IT team, which sometimes is just cousin Jimmy who happened to spell IT in a meeting. We're all small businesses. We know that we wear many hats.
Absolutely.
And so that doesn't mean you're the fully trained, highly qualified IT person, but you do a
Exactly.
great job doing what you do. But an extensive, compliance checklist, be it insurance, CMMC, PCI, HIPAA.
Yeah, well, that brings up a great point, Mike, is that, and we'll talk about this in yet another episode, the whole willful ignorance thing, right?
Right.
If you're made aware that you have to be compliant and you have to do this, walking away and closing your eyes is not going to help your case here,
No,
right?
not at
so,
all.
Yeah. So I think we beat that one fairly thoroughly, right?
Yeah.
Any other closing points you'd like to mention?
Well,
on
I
this?
would say, for sure, again, to round it back to what we started with, compliance not equaling security.
Right.
And there's a big gap between the two. And we just want everyone to be aware that you can become compliant and secure. And that's the method we're kind of leaning you to go take, instead of just checking a box, assuming you've met a control
Right.
or some compliance issue and not actually being compliant.
Yep. Yep. That's great, Mike. And I'd like to say, too, that realize this is a continuous sport. This isn't a, do it once and you're good and you never have to worry about your compliance again. No, and that's one of the biggest challenges, right, to companies out there, is realizing that you have to invest continually in this effort, both from a CapEx and an OpEx perspective, right? In personnel and in technology to maintain your compliance and your security posture, right? Because as we know, the threats evolve every day. So, if we can get you past that, don't check the box unless you're actually doing it. You'll have a great time. So,
Absolutely.
yep. And so, once again, we'd like to thank the Studio 809 for hosting us here at the Next Us facility here in beautiful downtown Colorado Springs. Check it out. It's a cool collective. It's got a really cool vibe, and we greatly appreciate the space.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And remember to follow us and tell your friends.